Hello, this is the DIY Magician, and we're here with
Ken Scott.
Awesome. Ken, we're going to ask you a few questions on how to be funny. This is an adventure we're taking right now. So the first question is, who is your comedy inspiration?
It's a good question. I grew up in Atlanta, so I didn't get a chance to go to Tom Mullica's bar called the Tomfoolery. But I followed him a lot because my mentor is a guy named J.C. Doty. And J.C. Doty, if you don't know him, built the Tomfoolery. And J.C. Doty himself was just a funny-looking guy himself, and he just made funny props. So I would say Mullica was definitely somebody who I love watching and trying to emulate what he could do, which no one can do that, but watching the way he worked and so impromptu, and then watching Doty. Doty's a very quiet guy, but seeing Doty's little small jokes that he would do, those two guys. But I would say currently, I mean, I love watching Dave Williamson. I love watching Chad Long. I mean, these guys just, I love watching that kind of comedy. So I'd say definitely Mullica, J.C. Doty, Williamson, and Chad Long.
Excellent. Now, they'll be able to Google these names. I know Tom Mullica's out there. Sure. So Doty, is he?
J.C. Doty's passed away, but he wasn't very public. He built things for people. He built the bar for Mullica. He built a lot of things for Rudy Kobe. If you ever saw Rudy Kobe's act, he built his whole neon table. Doty was a neon tubist, I guess you'd call him. He made neon lights. That was his job, and so that's what he did with that. So, but it'd be tough to find him. And then David Williamson, you can find him very easily. He was on The Illusionist, and then Chad Long, great close-up trade show guy.
Excellent. Yeah. That's good. I mean, I like to do the research when you have people watching. They're going to want to look them up. So hopefully Doty might be out there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Now the next question is, what do you think is funny?
Funny. Well, I mean, for us doing kids shows, funny is just the moment. Funny is whatever's happening, because I think we sometimes it's tough to script funny for kids shows. So maybe a kid says something, maybe a kid passes gas in the audience, and maybe you go with it or something, or maybe you don't, because maybe it may embarrass the kid. But I think typically funny is just whatever's in that moment with it, where the kids are. I don't think it's tough to script those funny moments where the kids are, but just being in there in the moment and being ready to shift gears, I think can be funny, following the audience.
Yeah, and in fact, the other day when you were performing your fantasy magician, and the little boy was wiggling around when you were doing that was priceless.
He was good. But now, I guess that's a way to follow funny, is that I watched him for 40 minutes so he was wiggling on the ground. So I could see him for 40 minutes in the show, and I kind of knew that was going to be my guy. By the time I got to that scene, that was towards the end of my show, I knew that he might be the pick for it. But he could be over the top, but he ended up being, a piece of gold.
He was perfect. Yeah, even walking up on stage, you could tell,
I said, oh, no, he could be a handful. But he did good, yeah.
Oh, it was perfect. Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Now, I guess maybe I stepped on something, because now I'm going to ask you, what was your funniest unscripted moment as a performer? And I have one in mind, and I'm curious to see if you're gonna bring it up. But if you don't, I will. On the internet. Oh yeah.
God. All right. Why didn't I think of that? So years ago, I was probably in my late 20s. I was at a birthday party, and I was doing the egg bag. And it's funny you brought that up. Yeah. Because I was like, what is my funny? And then and I'm doing the egg bag, and there was 3 and 4 year olds, and I usually get down on my knees and I make the egg disappear and put it underneath my arm. And the kids usually point, it's underneath your arm. Well, these kids weren't, and then one kid said, it's right there, and they're pointing at my crotch area. Right. And the birthday kid looks around, and he goes around and grabs me right there in the right there. And I'm like, no, it's here. And I bring out the egg and show them that it's here. And they go, no, it's still there. And he went back for a second grab. But meanwhile, the mom is back there videotaping with a big, huge video camera.
Mm-hmm. And where did it end up?
Right. And so fast forward years later, like 12 years later, after the parties happened, I'm watching this family after a show, kind of hanging back, and they come up to me and she goes, you probably don't remember me, but this is my son. He's 16, but you did his party when he was 4, and he grabbed your crotch. And I'm like, oh my God, you're the one I talk about. No. She said, we want to send it to America's Funniest Video, home video, but we have to have you permission.
Oh, I didn't realize they had to have your permission.
Yeah, so they came there, purposely to see me and to get my sign off on it. And I said, of course, if we win the $1 million, we split it. And they said, agree. But that aired many, many, many times, and it still airs. And so I'm glad you brought that, because that was probably the most embarrassing. But
And I'm still floating around the internet, I'm sure. Just look up Ken Scott and America's funniest videos,
It was, and looking back, I did one mistake. I blocked my Ken Scott logo sign.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And if I wouldn't have blocked that, millions would have seen the Ken Scott name. So, but it was neat. I'm glad she asked me, but that's the moment I tell the magicians that I got when I got grabbed by the young boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I've seen the video and it's priceless. So yeah, it was awesome.
That you remembered it. Yeah.
So now we're gonna get a little difficult now on the questions because we're working up to the big one. So the next one, the fourth question is, what makes you funny?
Oh gosh, that is a tough question. Well, I think I'm only funny if the audience is willing to be funny. Mm-hmm. So, like I said earlier, if the audience is willing to go with me, and I think what makes us all a good family performer is the script is so important, but yet you got to be willing to shift gears on a dime. And if the audience is enjoying something, then and I think that's why I think taking impromptu classes. We've seen Dave Cox, in California at the CAX conventions, do those classes, and I think just being ready to do something and switching gears and doing something impromptu. I think makes me funny. I think not being so robotic and being so on script. If a kid says something and you don't respond to it, but me responding to it is funny.
Right.
Right. You funny. So I think having your script is a must, but being able to be impromptu and go off the moment is what makes a show different than the last.
Right.
So yeah.
Now I would like to add, and I've been doing this recently. I'm not gonna embarrass you, but I want to tell you that I think you're funny because you're fearless and you're willing to do silliness with the dancing and this and that. So I just, I wanted to let you know that, we see it when you're here at the conference, and I think that's my opinion of what part of what makes you funny is.
It is going with that, and if I felt the audience didn't think that was funny, I obviously wouldn't do the dancing part, but or the goofy dance move. Because sometimes I'll do it and a kid starts dancing and it's not quite as funny because they start dancing and now, we really got to dance now. So, I think just sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone it can be funny. Sometimes going to the edge and looking over without crossing that line is funny. I often say parents have told me that it's like watching a Disney movie where there's so many innuendos for the parents to enjoy it, but the kids don't get it. And I think that's where I like to think I'm at, but I don't say dirty things in my show.
No. Yeah.
But I like going there and taking parents to a place, and if I could do something stupid and funny, if a kid's chewing gum, sometimes this works, and I go, "You chewing gum?" And they say yes. I go, "Spit it out," and sometimes they'll spit it in my hand, and that's just. It's happened many times. That's funny, but I want them to spit in my hand. If they will, that's funny, and if they don't, then I get out of the bit. But if they spit it out, now I'm stuck with this gum, and I act like it was and then I find a place, and usually I stick it underneath my table. So, or I act like I eat it or something. So,
or you could just hold on to it for an indefinite period of time, and if you can, and keep the show going, that'd be cool too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those. But yeah, just finding those moments. I love the script. I love Max Howard and these guys with scripts. I live off a script, but with kids performers, we have to be able to. I think with any audience, though, you got to be willing to switch a gear at a dime's notice. And if something funny happens to the audience, we got to react to it.
Yeah.
To our advantage usually.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you add it to the show. Right. Yeah. So, well, now we've come to the last question, and this is sometimes the most strenuous. I know we're almost done. This is the question that started the whole thing. What does it take to be funny? If you were to tell somebody your opinion, what does it take to be funny?
Well, are you funny? Are people funny? Are you funny? Do you enjoy to be laughed at? Do you enjoy to laugh with? I think people that go in there taking themselves serious, sometimes people are just shy and don't know how to come out of that shell and just to be they don't know what to do on a funny moment. That's why I think the impromptu classes helps develop your funny. So I think just being out there willing to, like you said, try it. If it flies, it flies, The dance move, like you mentioned, started because the kids started dancing, so I just started dancing with the kid, and I can't dance.
I know, yeah.
So I put that in the show. So even though it looks like it just was a moment of impromptu, that goofy bit is in every show now.
Oh, yeah, and it's great. It kills. Even with an audience of entertainers, we're laughing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I I would say just let yourself be funny. Just try it. Say something funny. Just try to. I mean, and I'm not the guy who's going to read joke books. I'm not the guy who's going to sit there. I can't remember jokes. You know. I mean, when a guy tells me a joke, I laugh my head off, but I can't remember them. So I'm not the guy who's going to sit there and tell jokes. But I can sit there and maybe just try to say some funny things during the show that I can't tell you right now what I would say. I mean, when it happens, it happens. But I would say just let yourself be funny, and don't box yourself up in a position that you can't go outside that box. Yeah.
Thank you. It makes a lot of sense.
He's lying.
No. Seriously, we've been getting a lot of good answers, but yours is fresh, you know, and we haven't heard yours yet. They might hear it later, but not from you. So, so thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate your time. And again, this is the DIY Magician. We're on the journey to see how to be funny. Until next time. If you enjoyed that video on how to be funny, then you can go to the YouTube channel called The DIY Magician and sign up for further funny videos. If you want to follow The DIY Magician, you can go to Facebook. And the Facebook page or group is The DIY Magician. Now, if you are a professional entertainer, we have a special page just for you called DIY Magic Facebook group. So come on along and join the journey on how to be funny. This is the DIY Magician. Until next time.